Hello again everyone, this is Abra, and I'm back to give my 2 cents on Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I have to admit that I had initially written this movie off. For some reason, the trailers just didn't win me over. It seemed to be yet another low-effort cash grab by Hollywood.
You're not a lot of fun, are you?
Boy, was I wrong. This movie was fun from start to finish. Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves is more than just your typical generic fantasy flick with a recognizable name slapped on. It felt as though the people behind this movie actually cared about the IP and what they were creating. As the plot carried the heroes to many different realms among the Dungeons & Dragons fantasy world, each area felt unique and full of life. This movie contains a solid cast who gelled well together and brought their own unique charms to the feature. Although I felt Sophia Lillis's portrayal as Doric seemed a tad flat, but perhaps it was meant to be played that way due to the character's past. At least her character's abilities were really cool and produced some very creative scenes. Chris Pine's Edgin and Michelle Rodriguez's Holga played very well off each other.
Oh, we got him now!
They each had their moments of glory and stupidity. In addition to being a fantasy film, this movie was also a comedy. There were some cheesy one-liners featured in the trailers.
Sounds lovely. Quite the opposite. I know I was being ironic.
But the comedy featured throughout the film reminded me of an old Mel Brooks comedy. There were several laugh-out-loud moments. What I appreciated about the movie was that it didn't take itself too seriously. It respected the fact that the story it was trying to tell didn't carry the same gravitas as, say, work by Tolkien. It did have its dramatic moments, but in the end it was meant to be a lighthearted, fun adventure. There were only a couple things that I took issue with in Dungeons & Dragons. The runtime felt a tad too long. It felt as if it could have been shortened by 15, perhaps 20 minutes. The other issue was, unfortunately, a common one: shaky, unclear action sequences. Thankfully, this was an issue with only a couple of the fight scenes. It was an odd inclusion because the effects looked impressive in virtually all other areas of the movie, and it's a practice that I wish the movie industry would move away from. Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves is the little movie that could. It was a pleasant surprise, and I sincerely hope other people decide to give it a shot. This is exactly the type of film that I'd like to see Hollywood creating more of. I definitely recommend catching this one in the theater. In my opinion, it was a solid 8 out of 10. Well, that's my 2 cents on Dungeons & Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, take care.